Great
Good.
to see you, Kathleen.
You too. Good morning. Good afternoon here, but good morning for you. Isn't that
Good
fun?
morning here. I woke up this morning, Kathleen, it was minus 31 with a windshield, and I thought it was a one-off, it'd be okay. But it's been like that, Kathleen, for about 3 weeks. It's tough. It's really tough.
I can imagine. And I'm complaining, and we're complaining here because it's, golly, it's 6 degrees. Like it's nothing compared to, and
Yeah,
it's gloomy, and that's
that's
the
gloomy.
bit that's hard to take. But we forget. It's good to be reminded that we have
It's
such a
good to be reminded.
temperate climate here. It might be a bit dull, it might be a bit, cloudy, but we don't get
Yes,
the extremes.
you don't get the extremes.
No, no,
And saying that, I was out in the car yesterday and it was so sunny. I had to get on my sunglasses and
yeah,
Blair was so strong here, with the sun coming down and the snow
yeah.
reflecting on each
Isn't
other.
that something? Now you had a special day yesterday, a
We
special holiday.
did, Kathleen. It was a provincial holiday. It was Family Day. And I think the origins was in 1990 it started off as a provincial holiday. So just in Alberta initially. But the idea was to kind of emphasize family values. Just a day for family. A lot of the museums are free. There's a lot of free activities. Um, yeah.
And is
So
it always this time of the year?
it's always this time of the year. And I think through the years, a lot of the other provinces have adopted it in Canada as well.
Yeah. You
And I
know,
think it's a break between New Year and Easter, possibly.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's what it is.
It's
Mhm.
like us with Bridget's Day, St. Bridget's Day.
There you go. That we talked about last week. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, and because of the cold weather, though, a lot of people wouldn't have been able to do traditional things like family, like go downhill skiing or skating outside or snowshoeing. It would have been just too cold. So a lot of the activities would have been moved indoors. But we pay for our museums here. They're not free like they are in Ireland.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they would have been free yesterday.
Yeah, we have most of the schools here are on a school break. So
Okay.
some of my family, young family, are in, I think they're going to Spain to ski. We can't,
Nice.
you see, you have it on your doorstep. We have to
We,
travel for anything like that. But
yes.
luckily, people were blessed when we can do that.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. But, what are some of the activities people do now there these days in Ireland? Well, curling, of course, is a big sport here too, which doesn't make sense.
curling or hurling?
Curling,
Curling,
which
okay.
doesn't make sense to me because when I first came to Canada on teacher exchange, I remember getting the brush out of the closet and the guy saying to me, "Don't use that, that's a curling brush." But I remember it was also a really cold year, and I remember thinking, this is the funny thing about Canadians. You go into the curling rink and it could be freezing outside, and you're going inside to a really cold place
Yeah.
curling. And then you have a cold beer afterwards. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Well, we have hurling, and that's a big sport, as you know. Do you know
Yes.
that's outdoor and with the like a hockey stick?
That's a great sport. I remember watching that one time
Yeah,
actually, and it amazed me that they weren't wearing helmets at that stage. They
right.
probably do now.
They do now. Not everybody. I think they have a choice with it, and I think certain positions, the goalie would be well protected.
Okay.
But sports, we're tapping into what families do. So for
Mm,
some families, sports is a big thing, whether it be football, soccer,
yeah.
as we term it here, rugby, or the Gaelic GAA, the Gaelic Athletic
Yes.
Association, hurling,
Hmm.
Gaelic football. And I'm always amazed when you see like a 5 or 6 year old there cheering on. I thought,
Yeah.
well, that's great. Because I would have thought it'd be kind of hard for little ones with all the noise, but they love it, I guess. They
They
love
love
it.
it.
And I think two other ones I'll mention, just being outdoors, hill walking. I was reading bog walking.
Yes, bog walking. I think I did bog walking in
Did you
Ireland because I
once?
remember losing my shoe one day in the bog when I was hiking.
And a new one, but seemingly it's not new, is sea swimming.
Oh, you're right. I have seen
In
that.
all kinds of weather, but I was looking it up and seemingly it was traditional for people living by the sea. They always, some
Okay.
people would have done it, but now
Yeah.
it is a big sport with, the special
Yeah.
coats they put on. I forget what they're
Yes.
called to warm up
Yes.
afterwards. You'd be an ice cube if you did it in Calgary.
They do it here as well, actually. They do a winter dip, would you believe it? I know we do that near some of our lakes, but it's become trendy again in Ireland, hasn't it?
And I'm guessing, I don't know this for a fact, but my impression is more women doing it too.
Ah, interesting.
You know, that
What
it
about you, Kathleen? Is it something that you would love to go jump in the cold
just,
water?
I would do it if I had a sauna beside me.
I believe some of them have bringing
That
outdoor
would be
saunas now
nice. That would be
afterwards.
nice. Yeah, I'd have to, yeah, I have memories of going in under New Year's Eve many years ago, but I don't know, I haven't done it since.
You're a brave one, Kathleen. I believe it's something to do with like it really does help you reset and
Yeah,
calm down. So I think there's a lot of that associated with relaxation
that's right.
and stress relief.
Right. It's like do you remember the fundraising ice
Mm.
bath? But that continued as kind of a therapy nearly. Do you know
Yes,
people do that, or you can buy an ice bath to have in
yes,
back garden. So it must,
it is.
do something good kind of for our,
Yeah. We would call it Nordic spas here, and I think you have the same idea there. You know, you jump into the cold water, then the
yeah,
warm water.
that's right.
I never feel like jumping into cold water in the winter, I have to say, Kathleen. So
I,
it's not for me.
I can do it indoors. I was
Mhm.
at a leisure center recently and they had that.
We spent our summers in Donegal and the beaches, and I didn't even like, I had a brother that just loved, he would just get out of the car and run for the water, and that wasn't me, Kathleen.
And
I loved the beach, but the cold water, not so much.
I'm just thinking now, connecting with Family Day, what's your sense of the importance of families having activities together? I'm sure there's research that shows the
I
importance
think
of that.
so. It's that idea of families that play together, stay together.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
And I think that's very important. I want to just something else about, I notice a difference in Canada and just talking to people that are originally from Ireland here. They're saying that, the activities, there's a lot more scheduled activities here than there would be in Ireland. Now, I know sport is huge in Ireland, football, but there's a lot more scheduled activities. Like this weekend, I spent my whole weekend up actually an hour and a half away in Sylvan Lake with my daughter's volleyball game.
Mm,
And at this age, the other one's playing basketball. So you're kind of going between sports, and that's a few times a week as well. And
yeah.
then these tournaments, I have another tournament this weekend. And I think there's a little bit more scheduling here in Canada than there is in
And
Ireland.
I think that has caught
Mhm.
on very much. I hear,
Yeah,
and our focus is women in leadership roles too.
that's right.
So recognizing the importance of those activities for children, and yet when you're working full time,
Yeah,
how challenging it is to keep it all going.
absolutely. And I'm sure, Kathleen, you have worked with leaders that are just juggling everything.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you think work, family, where's the space for me?
Yeah,
And I
yes,
think that's who is often neglected.
that's right. Yeah, we neglect ourselves, huh? We put ourselves last.
Yeah.
And everybody else comes first, and it's just so busy. Like there's just so much on.
Mhm.
It's just a constant juggling act, especially if you don't have immediate family around you, like parents and that, to help. And a lot of people don't here. It's a bit different than Ireland. A lot of people don't have any extended family here. You're left with just, the two of you trying to juggle these kids.
Mm.
And
Mm.
it doesn't give much time for other things.
No, and I think we've both found in the women we work with and also with ourselves that if we don't take time for ourselves, we're really not able to do the other pieces as well as we might.
Yes, that's
So
right.
it's
And
something that just, I have found, and I think I've said this already probably, how important it is to take time for ourselves. And then we do get more energy and prioritize something you've mentioned.
mhm.
What else would you say makes a
Well,
difference for women?
well, I think, I just recall coaching, clients in the US and that, and the difference in pregnancy leave, I think it's 2 months. like in Ireland is 26 weeks, I think. Here we get a full year, but I remember in some of our conversations, so they
Yeah.
go back to work after 2 months, they're pumping, and some of them said this is the only time they have to themselves is when they get into a room and they pump. And they're going, how can I still have this time for myself after I stop pumping? Because they wanted to safeguard this little bit of space that they had for themselves.
Yeah.
Isn't that so crazy?
It is really. It is because we know the impact that that has. It's not, it doesn't, if we don't put
Mm-hmm.
ourselves first for some piece of time,
Mm-hmm.
it has a negative ripple effect.
Yeah. So, Cal, how can you prioritize your week's
Mm,
schedule
mm,
that you have some time for yourself? Like,
mm.
what do you say to your clients?
Well, I'm thinking of one client who cleverly, do you know when many companies and organizations have shared calendars, which is great, but sometimes people can fill in your calendar with meetings and with things. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking of one particular woman who put herself in the driving seat of her calendar and she blocked in what she terms she called it something else, but in her own mind it's kind of focused thinking time.
Yes.
And this is it's actually not self-care as much, although it is to a degree, but it's
Yes.
also recognizing that if she's going to be strategic at all, she needs
Mm.
to have time when it's not focused on operational things.
Yes. Yes. So it's like a focus batch time. And I think there's a book on that called Deep Work. So
That's
you
right.
set aside
Right.
time to do deep work. And, I have other clients as well. And I think it's a great idea. Blocks of time for some things for yourself as well during the week.
Mm,
You might say, I'm going to the gym during the day. And so I block that off as an appointment. And
yes,
so because, if you leave your calendar open, other people will fill it in.
that's right. And if it's not in the calendar, it doesn't happen. I think we all
Yeah,
know that to be true. We live by our calendars nowadays.
we do. Absolutely. And I don't have a great memory, so I absolutely do live by my
Yeah,
camera. It's okay to say, sorry, I can't do a meeting then. I have another appointment. They don't need to know what the appointment is, like it's going to the gym.
that's right.
Um,
We just
but
want to know this is important for us and it will pay dividends in my role as well.
I think that's it. You said it. That's absolutely it, Kathleen.
And I'm thinking back to last week, you spoke, we were talking about the three rocks and we were talking about prioritizing. And you reminded us about the Eisenhower grid. Would that have
Yes.
relevance now if we're looking at planning what we do for the coming week?
Yeah, I suppose if you think about those four quadrants, then Kathleen, that's a good reminder. That would be under probably not urgent but important. So schedule those activities
Yeah.
in.
Yes, yes. And don't they say they're kind of the progress tasks that actually help us
Yes,
to be
yes.
to do
Taking
everything better?
yeah, taking time out actually makes us more productive.
You have a lovely fire. Move just a little bit.
I think my fire's off now. I had my fireplace on. And you
Okay.
know what, Kathleen? I woke up this morning and had a bath because that's kind of how I deal with this super, super cold weather. I just get into the bath and it's hard. Like I talked to a lot of my friends are really struggling at this stage, 3 weeks of cold weather.
And
Mighty
how are children with it? I'm just
I
curious.
think, for little ones, it's super hard here in the winter. It's a lot of work to get all their little mittens on and their
Right.
boots on, their coats and hats on. It takes like so much extra time to leave the house all the time.
Uh,
I just want to just quickly end up and if there's something you want to remind our viewers of today, Kathleen, as woman in leadership, especially as a parent, you've got to let go of the guilt. And I think you have guilt as soon as you have a baby and you feel guilty maybe about working, but you have to do what's best for you, not what you think society expects of you. So if you need to work and that makes you a better mom, do it.
yeah.
Or if you need to stay at home and if that's possible financially, try to make it happen.
Piggyback on that is
Mhm.
to not believe what our judge or our critic is telling us in connection to what you were just saying there too. You know, mothers at work are pulled in so many directions, and all too often the should statements come in. Someone else would be able to manage it so much better than me, and it's nonsense. And the only way to kind of deal with that is to start taking care of ourselves and listening to ourselves, listening to our body.
Yeah, that's so, so important. Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah. Great.
Okay, thank you, Kathleen. Great to see you again. Take care.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.